Hello, Cosmic Familia, and welcome back to my channel. We are wrapping 2023 up with a spiritual bow and the most warm and gracious packaging. I'm cracking open an oldie but a goodie, yes. This wonderful book has actually been hanging out on my shelf for about 6 or 7 years now. And I decided to start, you can tell that it needs to be tidied up a bit. It's been kind of collecting God knows what. But it's a great book, in my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But I felt spiritually led to open this book and read portion 1 with the collective. And it is titled, What is a Spiritual Solution? So, let's just dive right in, shall we? No one will disagree that life brings challenges, but step back for a moment and ask the deeper question, which is, why? Why is life so difficult? No matter what advantages you are born with, money, intelligence, an appealing personality, a sunny outlook, or good social connections, none of these provide a magic key to any existence. Somehow life manages to bring difficult problems, the causes of untold suffering and struggle. How you meet your challenges makes all the difference between the promise of success and the specter of failure. Is there a reason for this? Or is life simply a random series of events that keep us off balance and barely able to cope? Spirituality begins with a decisive answer to that question. It says that life isn't random. There is a pattern and purpose inside every existence. The reason that challenges arise is simple: to make you more aware of your inner purpose. If the spiritual answer is true, there should be a spiritual solution to every problem. And there is. The answer doesn't lie at the level of the problem, even though most people focus all of their energies at that level. The spiritual solution lies beyond. When you can take your awareness outside the place where struggle is ever present, two things happen at the same time. Your awareness expands, and with that, new answers begin to appear. When awareness expands, events that seem random actually aren't. A larger purpose is trying to unfold through you. When you become aware of that purpose, which is unique for each person, you become like an architect who has been handed the blueprint. Instead of laying bricks and fitting pipes at random, the architect can now proceed with confidence that he knows what the building should look like and how to construct it. The first step in this process is recognizing what level of awareness you are working from right now. Every time a challenge comes your way, whether it is about relationships, work, personal transitions, or a crisis that demands action, there are 3 levels of awareness. Become aware of them and you will take a huge step towards finding a better answer. Now, before I move forward with level 1, I would just like to read the intro for the author. Over the course of his career as a physician, teacher, and best-selling author, Deepak Chopra has received thousands of questions from people facing every kind of challenge. They have asked how to lead more fulfilling lives, how to overcome relationship problems and personal obstacles. What's the best way to deal with a passive-aggressive friend? Can a stagnant career be jump-started? In a world full of distractions and stress, how does one find time for meditation? Hidden among all these questions are answers waiting to be uncovered. In this groundbreaking book, Chopra shows you how to expand your awareness, which is the key to the confusion and conflict we all face. The secret is that the level of the problem is never the level of the solution, he writes. By rising to the level of the solution in your own awareness, you can transform obstacles into opportunities. Chopra leads the reader to what he calls the true self, where peace, clarity, and wisdom serve as guides in times of crisis. For Chopra, spirituality is primarily about consciousness, not about religious dogma or relying on the conventional notion of God, which I absolutely agree. And it doesn't matter whether you do or you don't. You are your own person. Yes, with practical insight, Spiritual Solutions provides the tools and strategies to enable you to meet life's challenges from within and to experience a sense of genuine fulfillment and purpose. Titled Spiritual Solutions: Answers to Life's Greatest Challenges. All right, now let's get back to the fun part. We're looking at level 1. Yes, contracted awareness. All right. This is the level of the problem. And therefore, it immediately grabs your attention. Something has gone wrong. Expectations have turned sour. You face obstacles that don't want to move. As resistance mounts, your situation still doesn't improve. If you examine the level of the problem, the following elements are generally present. Your desires are thwarted. Something you want is meeting with opposition. You feel as if every step forward is a battle. You keep doing more of what never worked in the first place. There is an underlying anxiety and fear of failure. Your mind isn't clear. There is confusion and inner conflict. As frustration mounts, your energy is depleted. You feel more and more exhausted. You can tell if you are stuck at the level of contracted awareness by one simple test. The more you struggle to get free of a problem, the more you are trapped in it. Now, this moves us on to the next level, which, of course, is level 2, expanded awareness. All right. This is the level where solutions begin to appear. Your vision extends beyond the conflict, giving you more clarity. For most people, this level isn't immediately available because their first reaction to a crisis is to contract. They become defensive, wary, and fearful. But if you allow yourself to expand, you will find that the following elements enter your awareness. Number 1, the need to struggle begins to diminish. Number 2, you start to let go. Number 3, more people connect with you. You allow them more input. Number 4, you approach decisions with confidence. Number 5, you meet fear realistically and it starts to lessen. And number 6, With clear vision, you no longer feel confused and conflicted. You can tell that you have reached this level of awareness when you no longer feel stuck. A process has begun. With greater expansion, unseen forces come to your aid. You move forward according to what you desire from your life. And then there is the next level, level 3, which is pure awareness. Yes, pure awareness. This is the level where no problems exist. Every challenge is a creative opportunity. You feel completely aligned with the forces of nature. What makes this possible is that awareness can expand without limits. Although it may seem that it takes long experience on the spiritual path to reach pure awareness, the truth is exactly the opposite. At every moment, pure awareness is in contact with you, sending creative impulses. All that matters is how open you are to the answers being presented. When you are fully open, the following elements will be present. So, before I go over these elements, I would just like to bring it to your attention that cloud that you just saw a couple of minutes ago is not smoke. It is vapor. As I'm still working on active addiction to nicotine, even though I haven't had an actual cigarette since the month of March. March 8th, actually, was my cigarette cessation date. So, now you know. There is no struggle, which is number 1, in terms of the elements that would be present when you have reached pure awareness. Number 2, desires reach fulfillment spontaneously. Number 3, the next thing you want is the best thing that could happen. You benefit yourself and your surroundings. Number 4, the outer world reflects what is happening in your inner world. Number 5, you feel completely safe. You are at home in the universe. And last but not least, you view yourself and the world with compassion and understanding. To be completely established in pure awareness is enlightenment, a state of unity with everything in existence. Ultimately, every life is moving in that direction. Without attaining the final goal, you can tell that you are in contact with pure awareness if you feel truly yourself in a state of peace and freedom. Each of these levels brings its own kind of experience. This can be easily seen when there is a sharp contrast or a sudden change. Love at first sight takes a person without warning from contracted awareness to expanded awareness. Instead of relating in the normal social way, suddenly you see immense appeal, even perfection, in one other person. In creating work, there is the aha experience. Instead of wrestling with a blocked imagination, suddenly the answer presents itself fresh and new. Again, in creative work, there is this aha experience. Instead of wrestling with a blocked imagination, suddenly the answer presents itself fresh and new. No one doubts that such epiphanies exist. They can be life-changing, as in the so-called peak experience, when reality is flooded with light and a revelation dawns. What people don't see is that expanded awareness should be our normal state, not a moment of extraordinary difference. Making it normal is the whole point of the spiritual life. Listening to people tell their stories of problems, obstacles, failure, and frustration, and existence trapped in contracted awareness, one sees that reaching a new vision is critical. It is all too easy to get lost in particulars. The difficulty of facing each challenge are often overwhelming, no matter how intensely you feel your situation, which has its own unique difficulties. If you look to the right and the left, you will see others who are just as caught up in their situations. Strip away the details, and what remains is a general cause of suffering: lack of awareness. By lack, I'm not implying personal failure. Unless you are shown how to expand your awareness, you have no choice but to experience this state of contraction. Just as the body flinches when faced with physical pain, the mind has a reflex that makes it draw back when faced with mental pain. Here again, a moment of sudden contrast makes it easy to experience what contraction feels like. Imagine yourself in any of the following situations. You are a young mother who has taken your child to the playground. You chat for a moment with another mother, and when you turn around, you can't see your child. At work, you are sitting at your computer when someone casually mentions that there are going to be layoffs, and by the way, the boss wants to see you. Oh, that just gave me a little stabbing, pokey pain in my heart. All too familiar, that is. Moving forward, it states you open your mailbox and find a letter from the Internal Revenue Service. Yikes. We know that experience all too well as well. While driving, you approach an intersection when out of the blue, a car behind you swerves past your car and runs a red light. And last scenario is you walk into a restaurant and see your spouse sitting with an attractive companion. They are leaning in toward each other, talking in low voices. It doesn't take much imagination to feel the sudden change of awareness that these situations provoke. Panic, anxiety, anger, and apprehension flood your mind. These are the results of brain changes as the lower brain takes precedent over the higher brain, triggering the release of adrenaline as part of an array of physical responses known as the stress response. Any feeling in both mental and physical. The brain gives a precise representation of what the mind is experiencing, drawing on infinite combinations of electrochemical signals coursing through 100 billion neurons. A brain researcher can pinpoint with ever-increasing accuracy exactly how those regions that produce such changes. What cannot be seen on an MRI is the mental event that incites all of these changes. Because the mind functions at the individual level of awareness or consciousness, we can take these two terms as synonyms, but let's explore them a little. Spirituality deals with your state of awareness. It isn't the same as medicine or psychotherapy. Medicine deals in the physical aspect where bodily changes occur. Psychotherapy deals in a specific difficulty such as anxiety, depression, or actual mental illness. Spirituality confronts awareness directly. It aims to produce higher consciousness. In our society, this is seen as much less real than the other ways of approaching problems. In times of trouble, people cope as best as they can with a swirling confusion of fear, anger, mood swings, and everyday struggle. It doesn't even occur to them to pair the two words, spiritual and solution, in the same sentence. This points to a limited vision about what spirituality really is and what it can do. If spirituality can change your awareness, nothing is more practical. Awareness isn't passive, it leads directly to action or inaction. The way that you perceive a problem will inevitably blend with how you try to solve the problem. We've all been in groups that are asked to accomplish a task. And when the discussion begins, each participant displays aspects of their awareness. Someone seizes the floor, demanding attention. Someone else hangs back silently. Certain voices are cautious and pessimistic, while other voices are the opposite. This play and display of attitudes, emotions, role-playing, and so on comes down to awareness. Every situation lends itself to expanding your awareness. The word expand doesn't mean that awareness blows up like a balloon. Instead, we can break down the awareness into quite specific areas. Where you enter a situation, you respond through the following aspects of your awareness: perceptions, beliefs, assumptions, expectations, and feelings. Once you change these aspects, even a few of them, a shift in consciousness occurs. As the first step to reaching a solution, it is critical to break down any problem until you reach the aspects in your awareness that are feeding the problem. Perceptions. Every situation looks different to different people. When I see disaster, you may see opportunity. Where you see a loss, I may see the lifting of a burden. Perception isn't fixed, it's highly personal. So, the key question when you approach the level of awareness isn't how do things look, but how do things look to me? Questioning your perception gives you distance from a problem, and with distance comes objectivity. But there is no such thing as total objectivity. We all see the world through tinted glasses, and if you mistake the view for reality, it's just the tint, pretending to be clear. Beliefs. Because they hide beneath the surface, beliefs seem to play a passive role. We all know people who claim to be without prejudice, racial, religious, political, or personal, who act exactly like someone riddled with prejudice. It's easy to represent your beliefs, but it's just as easy not to recognize them. What psychologists call core beliefs can be the hardest to spot in yourself. In an earlier age, for example, it was a core belief that men were superior to women. The topic wasn't even raised for discussion, much less doubt. But when women demanded the vote and this grew into a broad, vocal feminist movement, men found that their core belief was exposed. How did they react? As if they had been personally attacked, because their beliefs were their identity. This is me sits very close in the mind to this is what I believe. When you react to a challenge by taking it too personally, with defensiveness, anger, and blind stubbornness, some core belief has actually been touched. Assumptions. Because they shift according to the situation you find yourself in, assumptions are more flexible than beliefs, but they are just as unexamined. If a police cruiser signals you to pull off the road, don't you assume that you have done something wrong and will wind up defending yourself? It's hard to be open-minded enough to allow that the police officer may offer something positive. That's how assumptions work. They leap in to fill a gap of uncertainty. Social encounters are never empty. When you meet a friend for dinner, you bring assumptions about how the evening will go that are unlike the assumptions you bring to a blind date. As with beliefs, if you challenge a person's assumptions, the outcome is likely to be volatile. Although our assumptions shift all the time, we usually don't like to be told that they need to change. Expectations. What you expect from other people is linked to desire or fear. Positive expectations are ruled by desire, in that you want something and expect it to come to you. We expect to be loved and cared for by our spouses. We expect to be paid for the work we do. Negative expectations are ruled by fear, as when people anticipate worst case scenarios. Murphy's Law, which says that if anything can go wrong, it will, provides a good example. And it also implies that if it can go wrong, it usually does, at least the first time. Now, moving forward with what's stated in the book. Because desire and fear lie close to the surface of the mind, your expectations are more active than your beliefs and assumptions. What you believe about your boss is one thing. Being told that your salary has been cut is another. Depriving someone of what they expect directly challenges how they live. Feelings. As much as we try to disguise them, our feelings lie on the surface. Other people see them or sense them as soon as they meet us. Therefore, we spend a lot of time fighting against feelings that we don't want to have, or against feelings we feel ashamed of and judge negatively. For many people, simply to have a feeling is undesirable. They see themselves as exposed and vulnerable. Being emotional is equated with being out of control, which itself is an undesirable feeling. Being aware that you have feelings is a step towards greater awareness, and then there's the next step, which can be much harder, of accepting your feelings. With acceptance comes responsibility. Owning your own feelings rather than blaming them on someone else is the mark of a person who has moved from contracted to expanded awareness. If you are able to examine your state of awareness, these 5 elements will emerge. When someone is truly self-aware, you can ask them a direct question about how they feel, what their assumptions are, what they expect from you, and how their core beliefs are being affected. In response, you won't get a defensive reaction. You'll be told the truth. Healthy as that sounds, why is it spiritual? Self-awareness isn't the same as praying, believing in miracles, or seeking God's favor. The vision I've sketched in is spiritual because of the 3rd level of awareness, which I've labeled pure awareness. This is the level that religious believers know as the soul or spirit, which are not the same, by the way. When you base your life on the reality of the soul, you hold spiritual beliefs. When you go further and take the level of the soul to be the basis of life, the very ground of existence, then spirituality becomes an active principle. The soul is awakened. In reality, the soul never sleeps because pure awareness infuses every thought, feeling, and action. We may disguise this fact from ourselves. One symptom of contracted awareness, in fact, is a complete denial of higher reality. This denial is based not on willful blindness, but on the absence of experience. A mind blocked by fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, or suffering of any kind isn't able to experience expanded awareness, much less pure awareness. If the mind worked like a machine, it wouldn't be able to recover from the state of suffering. Like gears worn down by friction, our thoughts would get worse and worse until the day arrived when suffering was completely victorious. For countless people, life feels just like that. But the potential to heal is never worn away completely. Change and transformation are your birthright, guaranteed not by God, faith, or salvation, but by the indestructible basis of life, which is pure awareness. To be alive is to be caught up in constant change. When we feel stuck, our cells are still processing the basic materials of life continually. Feelings of numbness and depression can make life seem to stop. So can sudden loss and failure. Yet no matter how severe the shock or how stubborn the obstacle, the ground state of existence isn't affected, much less damaged. In the following pages, you will encounter people who feel stuck, numb, frustrated, and stymied. These stories seem to be unique as viewed by each of them, but the way forward isn't unique. It consists of addressing their state of awareness. What refuses to move must be shown how to move. That's another reason why the solutions being offered are spiritual. They first involve seeing, waking up, becoming open to new perceptions. The most practical way to reach a solution is spiritually because you can only change what you first are able to see. No enemy is more insidious than the one you are blind to. We live in a secular age, and so the view of life I've just outlined is far from the norm. In fact, it's almost the opposite because although everyone would agree that buildings must have blueprints, life doesn't. Life is viewed as a series of unpredictable events that we struggle to control. Who will be foreclosed on or lose their job? Which household will be struck with accidents, addiction, divorce? There is seemingly no rationale behind these events. Stuff happens. Obstacles arise of their own accord or simply by accident. Each of us justifies our contracted awareness by accepting such beliefs, and they run deep. Human nature, we tell ourselves, is filled with negative drives such as selfishness, aggression, and jealousy. At best, we are in partial control of these drives as they rise up inside us. We have no control at all over the negativity in others, and so each day presents us with a struggle against random chance and against people who are out to get what they want, no matter that it causes problems or even loss for us. As a beginning to expanded awareness, you need to challenge this worldview, even if it is the social norm. Normal isn't the same as true. The truth is that each of us is entangled in the world we call real. Mind isn't a ghost. It is embedded in the whole situation you find yourself in. To see how that works, first abolish the separation between a thought, the brain cells the thought stimulates, the body's reaction as it receives messages from the brain, and the activity you decide to pursue. All are part of the same continuous process. Even among geneticists who for decades preached that genes determined almost every aspect of life. There is a new catchphrase: genes are not nouns, they are verbs. Dynamism is universal. You aren't floating in a mindless environment either. Your surroundings are being affected by what you say and do. The words "I love you" have an entirely different effect on others than the words "I hate you." An entire society is galvanized by the words the enemy is attacking. At the most expanded level, the whole planet is influenced by the global exchange of information. You are participating in the global mind by sending an email or joining a social network. What you eat on the run is a fast food restaurant, or in a fast food restaurant, has implications for the whole biosphere, as environmentalists are at pains to show us. Spirituality has always begun with wholeness. Lost in a world of specifics, we forget that isolation is a myth. Your life at this moment is an entangled process that involves thoughts, feelings, brain chemicals, the body's responses, information, social interactions, relationships, and the ecology. So, when you speak and act, you are causing a ripple that is felt in the flow of life. Yet spirituality goes beyond describing you. It also prescribes the most beneficial way to affect the flow of life. Because pure awareness lies at the basis of everything, the most powerful way to change your life is to begin with your awareness. When your consciousness changes, your situation will change. Every situation is both visible and invisible. The visible part is what most people fight against because it's out there, accessible to the five senses. They are loath to confront the invisible aspect of their situation because it is in here where unseen dangers and fears lurk. In the spiritual vision of life, in here and out there are entangled with countless threads. The fabric of existence is woven from them. Two starkly contrasting visions are competing, then one based on materialism, randomness, and externals, the other based on consciousness, purpose, and the union of the inner and the outer. Before you can find a solution to the challenge that faces you today, right this minute, you must choose at a deeper level which vision of life you are following. The spiritual view leads to spiritual solutions. The non-spiritual view leads to a host of other solutions. Clearly, this is a critical choice because whether you realize it or not, your life is unfolding according to the choices you have made unconsciously, dictated by your level of awareness. This sketch of what a spiritual solution can achieve will sound very foreign to many people, however. Most of us avoid the confronting ourselves. We are unable to define a vision. Instead, we meet life as it comes, coping as best as we can, relying on mistakes from the past, advice from friends and family, and hope. We wind up giving in when we must, and clutching at what we think we want. So, what would it take to adopt a spiritual vision of your own life? In this book, we won't be following the path of conventional religion. Prayer and faith, while not central to the vision that needs to unfold, aren't excluded, however. If you are religious and find comfort and help by turning to God, you are entitled to your version of a spiritual life. But here we will be consulting a much vaster tradition than any of the world's religions, a tradition that embodies the practical wisdom of sages and seers in both East and West, who have looked deeply at the human condition. If there is one piece of practical wisdom that the following chapters are about, it is this: life is constantly recycling itself and evolving at the same time. This must be true of your own life then. When you can see that all your struggles and frustrations have kept you from joining the flow of evolution, you have the best reason to stop struggling. I am inspired by a famous Indian sage who taught that life is like a river flowing between the two banks of pain and suffering. Everything runs perfectly when we stay in the river, but we insist on grasping at pain and suffering as we pass them, as if the banks offer us safety and shelter. Life flows from within itself, and seizing on any kind of rigid or fixed position is contrary to life. The more you let go, the more your true self can express its desire to evolve. Once the process is underway, everything changes. Inner and outer worlds reflect each other without confusion or conflict, because solutions now arise from the level of the soul. They meet no resistance. Allow your desires to lead to the result that is best for you and your surroundings. In the end, Happiness is based on reality, and nothing is more real than change and evolution. It is with the hope that everyone can find a way to leap into the river that this book was written. So, the essence of this section is every problem is open to a spiritual solution. The solution is found by expanding your awareness, moving beyond the limited vision of the problem. The process begins by recognizing what kind of awareness you are working from, because for every challenge in life, there are 3 levels of awareness. Level 1, contracted awareness. This is the level of problems, obstacles, and struggle. Answers are limited. Fear contributes to a sense of confusion and conflict. Efforts to reach a solution meet with frustration. You keep doing more of what didn't work in the first place. If you remain at this level, you will be frustrated and exhausted. Level 2 is expanded awareness. This is the level where solutions begin to appear. There is less struggle. Obstacles are easier to overcome. Your vision extends beyond the conflict, giving you more clarity. Negative energies are confronted realistically. With greater expansion, unseen forces come to your aid. You move forward according to what you desire from your life. And then there's level 3, pure awareness. This is the level where no problems exist. Every challenge is a creative opportunity. You feel completely aligned with the forces of nature. Inner and outer worlds reflect each other without confusion or conflict, because solution arises from the level of the true self. They meet no resistance. All your desires lead to the result that is best for you and your surroundings. As you move from level 1 to level 3, life's challenges become what they are meant to be. A step closer to your true self. And that concludes part 1 of Spiritual Solutions, Answers to Life's Greatest Challenges, written by Deepak Chopra. Yes, Wayne W. Dyer would agree by saying, great advice directly from the master on virtually any subject. It just doesn't get any better than this, and all in common sense language. I love this book. Furthermore, there was praise from a gentleman named Dylan Radigan, and he stated, in quote, the path to address the external conflicts of our world is to first address our own internal conflicts with compassion and resolve. This book points a light on the path that is vital to our time. Okay, that's it. The next time I open this book, of course, we will be moving on to part 2, Life's Greatest Challenges. Until next time, I hope life is treating you well, and that concludes this message. See you next time. Brightest blessings.